order.
we walked into that one, didn't we?
Absolutely.
Indeed.
As we say in Ghana,
why didn't we say this?
You walked right into my den.
But it's great to see you, and just for that little uppercut, we are going to keep you here till the end of the show. And you can't go and tell anybody that we have new friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but Malik, good to see you. How you doing?
Yeah, good.
How was the big day yesterday for you?
Oh, well, not much. Just after the morning show, went to the newsroom. Of course, as you know, long meetings with Elvis Kwashi.
As you can imagine.
Afterwards went to eat some jollof somewhere.
Hey.
I'm not saying.
You are not saying?
Yes.
Anyway, today is the gratitude edition of the Super Morning Show. So you have to show gratitude to whomever, had pity on your mercy.
I'm certainly not mentioning that who gave me the jollof yesterday.
Okay, that's a good one. An audit will be carried out. But today is all about gratitude. Throughout the show, we're talking about those people who have made our years special. We want to say thank you.
Doesn't look like it's something we do a lot. I think it's a reason why we have to do this.
Absolutely.
Well, I think Christmas is also a very good time to do so. At least it gives you ample opportunity to express appreciation to those who have been very kind to you.
And we will be doing that on the show. But first, the headlines.
So, could you let's have stories from the Major Online. Some of the stories I have: be thankful for life, reconcile with others. That's the Papa himself yesterday talking to us on the Super Morning Show. President Kufuor also praising Joy FM for showing responsibility and social sense in our coverage and in our broadcast generally. So on one of the stories I picked from my Joy Online.
Well, thank you. I do have a few interesting stories. I'm not sure why mine do not start with the ones that my is actually just reading from. So I have one on our good old hospital, Kolebu. The headline says, Kolebu reveals top 10 diseases killing Ghanaians. One of those stories that you don't want to hear on Christmas morning, or of course not even on Boxing Day. So certainly we'll be discussing Kolebu and matters to do with Kolebu. Then there's also another one about government will soon publish investigations into the bank's collapse, says His Excellency President Akufo-Addo.
In his Christmas
very
message.
soon in his Christmas message, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I have his vice, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, also speaking to us on the Super Morning Show yesterday, sharing his Christmas message. Of course, our special guest yesterday, Mr. Al-Hassan Andane, Chief Executive and MD of Stanbic Bank, one of the great voices on the finance sector in Ghana. Yesterday was with us on the Super Morning Show, and he wants to change Ghana's urban transportation system. You would remember those days, those buses that has financed by Stanbic Bank on them. He said that he initiated it. It hasn't yielded the results that he hoped for, but he hasn't left it. He will go back to it.
Well, we look forward to it. So I do have another one. Road contractors give government up to New Year's Day to pay arrears. I'm sure we all recall the assurances given by His Excellency the President that the payments had been made or that they were going to be made. So we still look forward to that and hope that they will eventually get their checks. Sami Jemfi to refuse CID investigation following lawsuit. So this is a matter that has been with us also for a few weeks. I also know that Sami Jemfi's lawyers have actually gone to court. And so we'll see how this plays out as it goes along.
I think that headline was Sami Jemfi to refuse CID invitation.
Following lawsuit.
That's right.
Yes,
that's
because
right.
he has actually taken the matter to court. It is now a matter that is within the purview of
the court.
Napa Court, yes.
We'll see.
My last two stories, traditional leaders can help curb rural urban migration. Also, that's something Mr. Al-Hassan Andane said yesterday on the Super Morning Show. A lawyer and a Catholic priest are in court over forgery of will.
That's a very good one.
That's a good one. So these are some of the stories we'll be looking at. So those are my last two stories.
Well, I have also one here. Depositors of failed banks to receive 100% payment. President Akufo-Addo assures. I'm finding this very, very interesting because I'm also told that they were actually receiving about 10% or 20%. Now the president is giving the assurance that all of the members or depositors will receive 100% payment.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So let's see.
That's another story we'll be looking
So
at.
could you not start from where I just left off with the traditional leaders that Mr. Alasan, you know that he himself is being installed a traditional ruler, Tishiguna, one of those in the
Okay,
Tamale
Tishigu is
area.
a very popular.
So
community in
he's
Tamale.
talking about trying to help all the traditional leaders to see the need in making an effort to stop the kind of rural urban migration that we have, which has given rise to this phenomenon of Kayayi. And I've always said on the Super Morning Show that when I first came to Accra, my first cultural shock was Kayayi. Because when you live in the north, you don't see people having to carry load for others in return for money. You don't see it. If you see a younger person carrying load from an older person, they are doing it as an act of kindness. But they're not doing that because they have to earn an income out of it. And they're not doing that because they don't have anything else to do and they're living rough on the street.
Well, Malik, and certainly they're not sleeping rough.
Absolutely.
They're not carrying their babies on their backs whilst they do this. And of course, they are not even in Accra, in a city that they don't even know.
Right.
Yeah.
And in a working in a language they don't understand. Most of them have the time, don't even understand what people are saying.
Have
to them.
no idea.
And yes, it is indeed something that continues to baffle me.
What do you guys think of the government's plans to build a hostel for Kayayi?
Okay, so you are dragging me into an arena of politics this morning.
No.
So
Look, this is the solution offered by government.
Let me deal with
What
my
do you
own.
think of it?
Let me deal with my own experiences with it. So I wake up every morning, take a bus, go to Tema Station, then pick a car which is going to Bemakam so I can drop at GIJ. And every morning you see them in their droves, and largely they speak languages that I understand. And it was a shock to me because I'd never seen, I'd never even imagined it. And you have all these young girls, sometimes as little as 13, 14 years. You see them with a large head pan and they're running after people to give them their goods to carry. It was a big cultural shock for me. I'm actually doing a book, and large part of it is that dealing with my experiences with this guy. And sometimes you see the unkindness of the Ghanaian.
Yeah.
They give these girls heavy load to carry, and as Honorable pointed out, they don't understand the language. They just move from their village, they don't understand any tree, and then they are given this load to carry. They can't actually negotiate.
And don't forget, some actually keep them outside of their stores.
Absolutely, yes.
Almost
For-
as if they are being, kept there regularly just to undertake such services
for
for
purpose of
keep
providing
them
that.
in front of their shops.
And so they even allow them to sleep on the front porches of these stores.
Some sort of
That's-
indentured
that's
servitude. if
That's
you
also
will.
true.
It is actually a word I didn't want to use, but a pseudo sort of enslavement, I would say. So they stay there and they clean the area, they tidy the shop and all of that. And yes, when people buy goods, they have to carry them to whatever location it is. It is actually clearly a very, very demeaning spectre. And when you visit, especially being someone from the north, it actually gives you cause for worry. Some very young. Yes, there are some adults amongst them, but there are some who are underage girls, in fact, and boys. And when you see the places where they sleep, the places of convenience, Kojo, I don't think the solution really is in building hostels. I think that is a wrong move. Let's empower our communities. Let's decentralize the wealth. Let's create jobs. And I love the idea that Mr. Alasan and Danny is talking about a very, very reliable urban transportation system. It would allow for you to come and visit the capital city and go back home. It will allow for you to come here and transact business and go back home. But please, let's build sustainable businesses in all of our regions in Ghana. Let's spread the wealth.
Absolutely.
So it does not in any way, because what brings most people here is poverty.
Yeah. Because if they come
Survival.
from the kinds of places where they come from, where we have just one rainy season and afterwards that's it. And the farming there is actually subsistence. Sometimes what they get out of the farm can't feed the family throughout the year. So you have older members of the family encouraging the young ones to move to Accra where they can earn an income. I interviewed a girl for my story as an intern at the Daily Graphic who was 13 and she had been married. The reason why she was in Accra was to work, raise money, buy her cooking utensils. And she said to me that she didn't want to enter her rival's room and take cooking utensils to prepare food for her kids one day.
I've heard that story
So
many
she
times
came
too.
here primarily to work, earn an income, buy her cooking utensils. She believed by the time that she would go home, she would have been of age to live with her husband and she would have had her cooking utensils.
You know, these are some of the subtle things that sometimes when we have these conversations in polite company about how we are oppressing women, and some men are like, oh, what is the problem? Who is oppressing a woman? I mean, I'm not oppressing a woman. But you don't realize that our entire system is designed to put them at a disadvantage. So look at the reason why she's in this capital breaking her back.
Yes.
It's so that she can go and remain inferior in a man's home as one of his many wives.
Third wife. She was the third wife to this man
Mike, you know
who probably
how it
is
is.
3 times older than her.
Can you imagine
In a
that?
very patriarchal society, we have these things. It is one of the cankers that we need to also remove. I mean, a man who already has 3 wives, what is a 13-year-old going to do in a household like that?
Honestly.
Reduced even to a beast of burden. To serve not just the man, but to serve the whole family. Because that is a culture too. So these are things that we need to continue to advocate for. Speak about them, create some awareness, encourage the girl child to stay at school. In fact, last night, I spent about 2 hours following the CNN Heroes story.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome story. And my female for the night was the lady who won the award for Dignity for All, providing sanitary towels for the girl child. Sometimes we underestimate the relevance of sanitary towels to the life of a young girl, especially in a rural community, in a rural school, in a place where even the teacher can ill afford these items themselves, let alone support a young girl who needs it. I think these are great examples the world over that we as a people must emulate and encourage. I look forward to young Ghanaians taking up such responsibilities for other young women.
So, could you ask for me, as for this Kai story, I never get tired talking about it. I am documenting it in a book so that we can talk about it. So let's see what other story Honorable has. Otherwise, I will spend the whole morning talking about Kai.
Well, we can spend the whole day talking about that one. That is something that we do need to do something about, something more than what is currently being done. So certainly, this is a story that is close to everyone's heart.
Absolutely.
Kolebu reveals top 10 diseases killing Ghanaians. This is one of those stories. They talk about stories to do with our lifestyle, lack of exercise, very sedentary lifestyles, our diets, and what I think has become one of the things that I find very, very, very serious is to do with chronic kidney failure, because it actually leads to a gradual failure of your kidney. It means that nothing you eat or drink can actually be processed out of your system if it is bad for you, and it's affecting everybody. The doctor actually says that in 2018 alone, they recorded a total of 547 chronic kidney diseases. This is a very, very alarming figure.
And this is not
The
just
facilities are totally overstretched. The medical facilities and processes to ensure that we reduce the suffering, because you do know that this means that they will be on dialysis, sometimes every day, sometimes every week, name it. Doctors are clearly worried about this development. He talks also about other diseases, which include stroke, 488, pulmonary tuberculosis, 277, hypertension, 223, pneumonia, 221. The others are, of course, diabetes mellitus, congestive cardiac failure, severe anemia, and these are things that I think if you have a healthy lifestyle, if you adopt some good dietary and nutritional, absolutely, you'll be able to minimize them. Some good exercise, even in some cases. So certainly this is a matter that continues to trouble mental
Exercise.
and yes.
Could you? I wanted to ask you, when
Exercise.
was the last time you did any?
what was that? Did what?
Exercise.
Exercise. Huh. Well, I have to. You know, I have to, because I'm diabetic, so I have to manage my
You manage your
diet
sugar levels, manage your diet,
and my exercise
absolutely.
regime.
Yes.
So I don't have a choice whether I want to or
Yesterday
not.
I saw our other friend Raymond Akwa. Yesterday he went to the gym.
What about it? Well, I said, well, we are it's Christmas.
Yesterday he went to the
And
gym.
most people will be making their New Year resolutions.
Yeah, yeah.
One of them is always that I'm going to start to exercise, take your diet more seriously.
Yeah.
I encourage everybody actually to take up just a little bit of exercise.
Yeah. Now,
Some
you know-
can do it every day, some can do it every week. But I think some level of activity is important.
Yeah.
Even cleaning your home yourself. If you start from the morning about 6 a.m., by 4 p.m., you probably would have taken 10,000 steps, depending on the size of your environment.
Very true.
Gardening is another way of keeping your body active and in a state of constant motion.
Yeah.
I think we should continue to encourage
I agree
individuals
completely.
to undertake
completely.
exercise.
And you know, all of the other diseases. This is the thing that is worth noting. All of the other diseases can also affect your kidneys.
In fact, that
You
is
see?
a correlation. Straight.
That's why there are such high numbers for chronic kidney disease. And look, this is not just something small has happened and it has affected your kidney small, so you take some tablets and you are fine. No, this is chronic kidney disease. So you actually need constant medical help in order for your body to function properly. All right, that's where dialysis comes in. And if I told you that in the entire nation of Ghana, we don't have 100 dialysis machines, would you believe me?
Well, I've been to the one in Kolebu, and of course, I noticed there were only about 6 beds actually.
There you go.
And even most of them are people sitting.
Yeah.
So they sit in these armchairs that
We
are
don't have
provided.
100
That's
dialysis
true.
machines in this country. And all these diseases we've mentioned can result in chronic kidney disease.
Which will require dialysis
Yeah.
treatment.
So, you know, we have to start
Now,
rethinking.
could you let's talk also about alcohol. Alcohol, smoking, those habits that really do us very little or no good at all.
Absolutely.
I think that alcohol, and from what Dr. Asari says, is actually one of the biggest contributors.
Is he the chief executive? He's the chief executive of the
himself,
Quality
absolutely,
Teaching
Dr. Daniel Asari.
So I think what
You
we
know.
need to start doing is rethinking our healthcare system so that it becomes more preventive than curative. If that's
That
the
is
word.
always a lot better and more
Yeah.
preferred.
Saves
really.
money. Saves money.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, I wish we had time to talk about more, but we don't. It's time for us to go for the BBC News. But Joyce Bahamokhtari stays with us for even more. BBC News follows these messages.